Welcome back. This is Answer Me This, part of the Fatherhood in Focus podcast. I'm Aidan, dad, host, and founder of the Modern Fatherhood Club. Every week, I'm going to ask you one uncomfortable question, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. Because this is about legacy, impact, and the man your kids see when you walk into the room. Because the world is happy for you to cope. We're here to help you choose. Choose how you show up, how you lead, and how you love. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast, hit subscribe on YouTube, and head over to the Modern Fatherhood Club and grab some of our free fatherhood resources. They're built to support you from those early, messy days right through to the years when they're shouting at you from across the room. All right, take a breath. This week's question is going to test you. Let's get into it. So, like every week, this is a personal one and it's designed to hit home. It's designed to make you think about the impact you have on her and her world after baby arrives. I've talked a lot in the past about Terry and our impact on our kids. I've talked a lot in the past about how her return to work was one of the hardest things she had to navigate. And that's where this episode begins. I want you to start thinking about the decisions that she makes, the sacrifices that she makes, not just for you, but for the kids too. Because in 2026, we talk about equality, but you stepping up more and taking on more, that's not equality. Equality is where a partnership is give and take. Equal parenting? Come on, does it really exist? Or is it just one person sacrificing more than the other? Partnership, look, it's about knowing what the other person needs, what drives them, what fulfills them, what impact they want to have, and the contribution that they want to make. One person cannot survive more than the other. One person shouldn't be overlooked whilst the other takes centre stage. For some, this is an employer issue. For those in a strong partnership, this is about give and take and respecting the other person's need to fill their cup. I remember Terry's first day after returning to work post-COVID. She was apprehensive, nervous, and she didn't know what to expect. This week's question is simple. Is there a time when you overlooked what she really needed? Is there a time where she needed you more than she let on? I got it wrong. I overlooked the drain on her resource. I overlooked the pain she carried. And I overlooked how returning to work would leave her feeling conflicted. There's a pain I carry, not from something I said, but from something I didn't see. Yeah, Terry was hurting and I missed it. But what matters now is how I show up differently today. Your objective on her return to work is to be switched on. Switched on to how she feels, switched on to the distance her return can create, switched on to the influences of those who don't have her back. I guess in my experience, I've made this mistake more than once. After Henry was born and she returned to work in 2018, I was already in a downward spiral. I guess by the time she returned, I wasn't capable of thinking beyond tomorrow. I wasn't capable of seeing what she needed in those moments. We were in this perfect storm. Henry was perfect. His smile, his laughter, and his joy were infectious. They were everything. She returned to work and I was closer to home, but the job I had, I hated. Uninspired, unmotivated, no challenge in sight. When you face those obstacles, you focus on one thing and one thing only. You have tunnel vision, and everyone else's problems aren't something that you can carry. It's selfish, but survival. I live with regret, but that's why I have what I have now. That's why I know what she needs and how I can help. At the time, though, I needed to be strong, resilient, and clear-headed. She needed this from her husband, the father of her son. But when you're trapped, it's easier to ignore others and push on alone. She went back to work and she managed it all on her own. She held it down. She fought for her position, her career, her past experience. She fought for recognition. And she did this all alone because I had made the wrong move. And when you make the wrong move, you lose. You lose control. And it's that loss of control that leads you to question your ability as a man, a decision maker, a husband. That time for her, it was emotionally draining. She was conflicted. She had nowhere to turn. She had nobody to talk to. She had nobody that truly understood why returning to work mattered. Nobody had her back. Nobody was willing to listen and empathise with the conflict she felt. I was too busy and we were both carrying something heavy, but I was only focused on mine. Fast forward to 2021 and lockdown had passed and she was ready to return after maternity. But this time it was different. This time was harder. This time I could hear and see it all. Her first day at home created distance, but it was her employer who made that distance wider. Her employer made no commitment to her. Her employer ignored everything she'd achieved before having a baby. They ignored what she brought to the table. The employer in the equation was the problem. And when your employer doesn't have your back, doesn't understand the pressure you feel and the conflict you feel, well, you find yourself isolated. You begin to question your value, your worth, and your contribution. A strong, independent, forward-thinking woman was now conflicted. Yes, I got it wrong the first time, but this time I had a front row seat. I could see the pain. I could see the pressure. We as a family felt her conflict. We watched her struggle. We tried our best, but the pressure was unrelenting. The pressure got to her. It eroded her confidence, and at times it destroyed her self-worth. It stopped her smiling. When you return to work after a baby, you want to pick up where you left off. You deserve to be recognised for the work and the effort that you put in. But you become a number. Just another returning mum, one that's likely to be distracted. Even a mum who can't cope or find balance. I believe, as a career mum, you should be given the opportunity to find your feet and then grow back into the role. But in Terry's case, she was forgotten, discarded almost, made to fight to be heard. She had to fight for everything. She was fighting bias, pressure, and invisible expectations. I could see her retreating, but I didn't know how to name it. She stopped speaking up. The light in her dimmed, and at the time I didn't take her hand. Not because I didn't care, because I didn't listen for what wasn't said. And if you're listening, T, for that I will be forever sorry. I thought being there for the boys was enough. I thought surviving was progress, but I wasn't seeing her. What she needed from me was to be seen and heard. She needed to be held. She needed space to offload. She needed space to make the right decisions. She didn't need guidance. She needed a sounding board. She needed a husband who didn't just listen, but he absorbed. Absorbed the pain, absorbed the pressure. A husband who recognised when it was all getting too much. She fought hard to be heard, not just at home, but at work. She was mismanaged, when that mismanagement initially cost them both. But then it became clear this path had run its course. The conflict wasn't worth the pain. The distance wasn't worth the pressure. The anger wasn't worth her time. Because when you return to work after a baby, your employer is on notice. And I think I overlooked this. You see, we want security, protection, we want stability. But this cannot come at a cost to her health, her self-worth, her confidence, strength, passion, and love. That's not just the love she has for you and your children, but that's the love she has for herself. A mum returning to work is conflicted and her confidence is on the line. Your relationship is on the line if you fail to see her for who she is, what she stands for, what she delivers, and what makes her whole. The moment I finally saw her, it wasn't loud. There was no explosion. It was a shift, subtle but undeniable. I saw how tired she was of being strong, how much she needed to be seen, not managed, not fixed, but held. And I realised that support isn't about knowing what to say. It's about staying close until she's ready to speak. This week's question is simple. Is there a time when you overlooked what she really needed? Is there a time when she needed you more than she let on? Think about that question again. If she's returned to work, what have you or did you overlook? Where did you fail to see the signs? This is your wake-up call. Because when I reflect back, I know I'm a good dad. I know for the most part I'm a good husband. But we are individuals. We respond to pressure in different ways. Your role isn't to fix, because this is her career that we're talking about. This is everything she was before she had children and everything she deserves to keep once she's had them. Your solution isn't to cover all the bills. Your solution isn't to brush this problem under the carpet. Your task is to understand it, recognize the importance of what came before, recognize who she is, what she values, the impact that she wants to have, and the influences that try to disrupt her as she navigates both motherhood and her career. I had to change. I made her my priority, not in logistics, but in spirit. I listened differently. I championed her more. I became her sounding board, became her shoulder to cry on. I understood the pressure. I offered solutions when I was invited to do so. But importantly, I never underestimated the woman she was and her ability to find her way. I held her and I fought with her. And when she needed it, I encouraged her, because she's the mother of my children. She's the inspiration that holds us all together. She's the strength in the darkness. She's the light we all fight to see. She's mum, she's a wife, and she's powerful beyond measure. Today I let the boys see her in all her glory. I celebrate her strength, her resilience, her will to keep pushing. I believe in her and I let them see it, because I believe that how I treat their mum is going to be how one day they will treat the woman in their lives. And if we fast forward to 2026, she's back on form. She is on fire. The resilience is there. The confidence is flowing. The effort remains. The passion has grown stronger. The next steps are hers to make. Her next decision has my backing. At home, the warmth is back. The laughter's louder. The connection deeper. Not because we worked harder, but because we worked smarter together. We respected one another and what we stood for collectively. She's carried too much, and I appreciate her strength and willingness to push on. I'm grateful for her will to better us and our boys. In the past, she has taken on too much, and for too long she was in pain and searching for answers. But now she's back to her best. She's vibrant and focused on herself, which I think is important because the boys need to see Mummy for who she is. A strong, courageous, warm and loving woman, prepared for life's challenges, but vulnerable enough to know that maybe she can't do it all alone. Please remember, her return to work isn't just her fight. Her return to work will test the very foundation of what you've built. You cannot overlook it because it could cost you everything you love. If you missed it like I did, you can come back from it. But you owe her something. Start by listening. Start by choosing presence. Start by making her feel seen without needing to collapse first. And promise her this: you'll never miss her pain again because you'll be holding her hand before it starts. Thank you for listening. I'm here because I lost sight of what was important and it almost cost me everything. But that challenging time, you know, it taught me about duty. It taught me to live aligned to the things that matter and to never overlook the small stuff and my impact on their world. I've made mistakes, I've missed moments, I've missed opportunities, but I'm not letting them define me. I'm fighting for a future that serves my kids and my wife, and it's not just one that looks good on paper. This podcast isn't about making sweeping change. It's about taking a step forward today, another tomorrow, and doing it every single day. As always, write it down, dive into the detail. Create something so powerful and unique that you cannot wake up and not move toward it. Remember, they'll live how you lived. Love how you loved. Listen how you listened. And prioritize how you did. They will show up in the lives of those they love, just as you did. Your role is simple. Give it absolutely everything. Give them what they need. And never overlook the impact of the woman who brought them into the world. This is the role of the modern dad. Stability, strength, passion, perseverance, pride and love. This is about standing shoulder to shoulder with that woman who created life. This is your chance to reflect on the missed opportunities and make up for lost time. Do it now. Do it today. Let her see that you've got her back. Let them see how much you love their mum. All right, well, that's today's question done. You've just spent a few minutes doing what most dads avoid. Slowing down, being honest, and looking at how they're really showing up. Remember, your kids, they don't need a perfect man. They need an honest one. A dad who's willing to reflect, reset, and lead from the front, even when he's tired, under pressure, or coping more than he'd like to admit. If this episode landed for you, subscribe to the podcast, hit subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And if you haven't yet, join us at themodernfatherhoodclub.com where you'll find our free resources and reflection questions, the ultimate New Dad Toolkit, and the New Dad Recharge course for those of you ready to realign your energy and your priorities. And there's also details on our upcoming antenatal course and email companion for those expecting and new dads. Look, I'm not perfect, neither are you, but we are committed to leading with confidence, strength, openness, and heart. Committed to giving our kids the version of us that's present, not just productive. Thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for doing the hard work. This is the Modern Fatherhood Club. This is Answer Me This, part of the Fatherhood in Focus podcast. Lead from the front, and never underestimate the power that you have over who they become. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.